Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Martial Universe Season 5 based on novel. So let's start. While Mo Ling and the rest celebrated in delight, Mo Tii and the rest finally recovered their senses. As they stared at Lin Dong, it looked as if their eyes were about to pop out. After stuttering for a long while, they were still unable to mutter a complete sentence, and they looked extremely slick and comical. Oh my god. That fellow is actually alive. What dog shit luck is this? After being chased by 5 half-stepped Nirvana stage demonic beasts, and jumping right into the demonic horde, he is still able to survive. That kid is truly blessed by the heavens. Hee, it seems like Jin Mu's plan has failed. Someone has returned to collect a debt. That remains to be seen. There are 5 half-stepped Nirvana stage practitioner on Jin Mu's side, and based on my intel, they are far more powerful than Mo Tii and the rest. Furthermore, it is reputed that Hai Shou is related to the Ling Yuan Empire. Therefore, this is a tough debt to collect. Amidst the whispers from the crowd, Jin Mu's originally bewildered expression turned grim. As he stared venomously at Lin Dong, he chuckled, "What a lucky kid. I can't even kill you after that." Standing beside Jin Mu, Hai Shou tightly furrowed his brows as he stared at Lin Dong. Moments later, he softly said, "It's a good thing he is alive. I was worried that if he died inside the demonic horde, we would lose his soul treasures." Even though Lin Dong's appearance shocked him, he was not too worried. After all, there were 5 half-stepped Nirvana stage practitioners on their side. Therefore, were they afraid that Lin Dong could overrun them? "Brother Lin Dong, you are going to be the death of me." Right now, Mo Tii had calmed himself down. Promptly, he walked over to Lin Dong before he softly said, "So, what do you plan to do now?" Mo Tii's words evidently indicated that he was asking for Lin Dong's opinion. Even though he barely knew the latter, he knew that he was not a man to be taken advantage of. Furthermore, Jin Mu and Hai Shou's actions tonight were simply too despicable. However, even though he was outraged, after calming down, he began to calculate the difference between their side. After glancing at those 5 half-stepped to Nirvana stage practitioners, he finally concluded that they were indeed more powerful than them. When he heard Mo Tii's words, Lin Dong's slightly icy-cold eyes gently swept across Jin Mu and the rest, while a killing aura faintly emerged. With regards to Jin Mu, he had reached his boiling point. After all, he did not want to have an enemy by his side secretly awaiting to backstab him. He did not want to experience again what he did tonight. Therefore, tonight, Jin Mu must die. When he saw the killing intent flowing in Lin Dong's eyes, Mo Tii's pupils gently shrunk. Promptly, he knew that there was no way to peacefully conclude the night. "Lin Dong, since you are lucky enough to survive, you should treasure your life. Don't dream of making any stupid moves, as it will only result in your own death." Jin Mu also detected the killing intent in Lin Dong's eyes. Immediately, his eyes turned cold as he coldly shouted out. Lin Dong's face was calm, and he did not reply. Then, he took a step forward before his heavenly crocodile bone spear immediately appeared in his hand. Meanwhile, his killing intent finally gushed forth and alerted everyone to his intentions. When Mo Tii and the rest made their move, the atmosphere in the battlefield instantly turned tense. "Mo Ling, have you guys mastered the formation that I taught you?" When he saw this sight, Lin Dong suddenly tilted his head and turned to Mo Ling and the rest and said, "Even though we cannot defeat a half-stepped Nirvana stage practitioner, we can hold one of them down." When he heard his words, Mo Ling and the rest instantly replied eagerly. They were eager to test out just how powerful the formation was. "Leave Jin Mu to me. The 3 of you can handle one of them. Brother Mo Tii, please help me to take care of the other 3. I will finish Jin Mu off quickly." Lin Dong turned to Mo Tii and the 2 of them before he said, "You wish to fight against Jin Mu by yourself?" When he heard his words, Tang Xian was slightly stunned. However, as she recalled Lin Dong's past performance, she gradually nodded her head. "In that case, let's go." When that final word left Lin Dong's mouth, that tense atmosphere instantly exploded. Behind him, a figure directly transformed into a black shadow. Then, formidable bone shadows transformed into a flowery spear dance as it swept towards Jin Mu. "I was caught off guard the previous time. Do you really believe that you can accomplish the same result as before?" When he saw Lin Dong charging towards him, Jin Mu coldly shouted out, before a formidable yuan power shockwave swept forth from within his body. Then, he directly clashed against Lin Dong. When that savage yuan power shockwind swept forth, a cold glint flashed across Mo Ling, Mo Ti and the rest's eyes. Promptly, their figures flashed before they managed to completely intercept Hai Shou and the three other half-step to Nirvana stage practitioners. Boom. 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 After previously experiencing a massive battle, another violent commotion erupted in the mountain range. As they stared at that fearsome fight, troops from the other factions quickly retreated. However, while they were observing the fight, even though they were extremely outraged by Jin Mu's actions, it had to be said that Mo Ti's faction was indeed at a disadvantage. After all, Jin Mu's side had 5 genuine half-step to Nirvana stage practitioners. Formidable spear shadows filled with an ice-cold aura flew at a peculiar trajectory towards Jin Mu's vital points. Meanwhile, the latter obviously knew the might of Lin Dong's bone spear, as his feet executed a mysterious footsteps. At the same time, flames lit up on the fiery red steel rod in his hand, as he countered against that spear dance. Phut, Lin Dong. Your 3-peak manifestation followers actually dare to fight against a half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner. You must be hoping that they can hold them off for a while. However, you must be dreaming. After my ally finishes them off, it will be your turn next. A spear and rod mixed with savage yuan power continuously crossed blows in mid-air, while Jin Mu pushed all the yuan power in his body till his limit. Since he knew that Lin Dong was a tricky opponent, he had no intention of defeating him. As long as he could stall him and wait for his half-step to Nirvana stage allies to assist him, they could surround Lin Dong and easily slaughter him. Before they fall, you will be a dead man. Lin Dong's body seeming transformed into a golden glow. Men and spear fused together in that golden glow. Soon after, that golden glow tore through the horizons at a terrifying rate, just like a golden shooting star flashing across the night sky. With a formidable force, it charged towards Jin Mu. That commotion immediately drew the attention from everyone in the battlefield. As they sensed that terrifying vibration undulated on that golden glow, even some Nirvana stage practitioners' expressions turned grim. After all, they could smell a potent deadly scent emerging from within. Saint Elephant Sky crumbling tackle. Every hair on Jin Mu's body stood up. He could sense just how powerful Lin Dong's killing move was. Immediately, he did not dare to be negligent at all as he directly executed his most powerful martial arts. A giant glowing elephant materialized before it wrapped around Jin Mu. With an aura that could shock the heavens, it charged towards that golden glow. The air in the horizons trembled. Nobody had expected that the battle would heat up this quickly. In fact, even Mo Ti, Hai Shou and the rest involuntarily turned to look at that sight. Boom. An earth-shattering collision finally occurred under the stares of the crowd. Then, the crowd immediately saw that golden glow shrink instantly, before all the energy was concentrated on the tip of a golden spear. Might of golden body, break. A deep roar rumbled forth, while the resplendent golden glow on the tip of that spear seemingly tore through the night sky. Bang. A resplendent golden glow was reflected in everyone's pupils. Thanks to that flowing golden glow, it instantly tore apart that incoming large glowing elephant. That large glowing elephant was instantly ripped savagely apart. Meanwhile, Jin Mu, who was located within, stared at that golden glow that was rapidly growing in his eyes, while thick fear finally flowed in his eyes. In the face of that golden light, the dazzling and radiant giant elephant was as weak as tofu. The golden spear swept past, as the giant elephant immediately crumbled. When the giant elephant crumbled, the one hidden within it, Jin Mu, was subsequently exposed to the formidable spear attack. Immediately, horror arose on his face. They had fought once previously, and Jin Mu was clearly aware just how powerful Lin Dong was. Hence, Jin Mu did not hold back at all in this battle, and he immediately fought with his full strength. From what he understood, Lin Dong's power mostly stemmed from his formidable martial art, and as long as he did not use that powerful martial art, he would not be able to contend against him. Of course, the final outcome once again made Jin Mu understand that he was perhaps a little too naive. Lin Dong had merely used the bone spear in his hands, and he did not execute any formidable martial arts like the great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. Yet, in the end, Jin Mu's Saint Elephant Sky crumbling tackle had been easily destroyed. The might of the physical enhancing martial art, the lesser Nirvana golden body, had finally been gradually revealed. Under countless astonished gazes, Lin Dong's eyes were ice-cold, while the golden spear in his hand did not slow down at all as it mercilessly flew towards the invulnerable Jinmu. His spear danced in the wind, and it was truly a ferocious sight. Radiant, mysterious cover. At this moment, Jinmu smelled the thick scent of death. He knew that if Lin Dong's attack landed on his body, he would not get off easy even if he managed to survive. Immediately, a vicious look flitted across his eyes as his body jerked. Yuan power burst out of his body without any restraint, forming into an extremely thick light screen outside his body. The light screen was as clear as crystal and gave off a solid sense of safety. When the light screen took shape, a golden spear flew over like a flaring golden dragon. Under the stares from the crowd, the golden spear viciously smashed into the light screen. Bang! The light screen trembled violently, while cracks rapidly extended outwards. Standing inside, a deathly pale look surfaced on Jinmu's face. He was truly unable to comprehend how Lin Dong's battle power had soared so much in a few short days. Explode! An icy-cold voice sounded out from Lin Dong's mouth. Soon after, the dazzling light screen instantly exploded as a ferocious force slammed into Jinmu's body, immediately causing him to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood, while his body shot backwards like a broken kite. Crash! When they saw Jinmu's sorry figure, the entire area burst into an uproar. Astonished gazes turned towards Lin Dong's figure. Although some of the people here had heard of Lin Dong's fight with Jinmu in Yang City, a clear victor had not been decided at that time. Yet, the scene today made them understand exactly who was victor and loser amongst the two of them. Hai Shou and the other three who were fighting with Mo Tai and the rest were likewise given a vicious blow to their hearts. Soon after, their expressions fluctuated a little. They originally thought that even if Lin Dong was able to contend against a half-stepped Nirvana practitioner, he would at most draw against Jinmu. Yet, the scene before them had surpassed their expectations. The bone spear had penetrated through Jinmu's chest. When it emerged from his back, fresh blood gushed out like a fountain, while Jinmu's body stiffened. In your next life, think about the consequences before carrying out any evil deeds. Lin Dong coldly gazed at Jinmu while blood continuously flowed out from his mouth. The former viciously jerked the bone spear, causing Jinmu to heavily slam onto the ground. Meanwhile, a faint bones breaking sound echoed out. The originally chaotic scene was now deathly silent. Countless pairs of eyes continuously turned towards Jinmu, who struggled a little before completely turning rigid, and everyone could not help but firmly swallow a mouthful of spit. They were truly unable to imagine that Jinmu had actually died in such a manner at that fellow's hands. Such overwhelming battle power and viciousness. Then, their gazes simultaneously turned from different angles towards the figure hovering in mid-air. At this juncture, the pity and contempt from before had now quietly ceased to exist. Jinmu's death had likewise quenched the fire of battle for both sides. Mo Tai and the rest looked at Jinmu's corpse and swallowed. It was difficult to describe the shock in their hearts. Meanwhile, Hai Shou and the other three watched this scene with grim expressions. Moments later, the other three excluding Hai Shou suddenly backed away, while fearfully looking towards Lin Dong. Friend, we did not interfere at all in the matter from before, and will no longer have anything to do with it. Once these words were said, they immediately made their position clear. Jinmu had already died, and there was clearly no point for them to do anything more. They were not fools and would not offend the shockingly powerful Lin Dong over a dead Jinmu. When he heard their words, Hai Shou's originally grim expression became even uglier. Both himself and Jinmu were the main instigators of tonight's matter, and he had even drawn the demonic beasts over. Those three could back away from this matter, but he would perhaps face some difficulty. At this time, the time was nearing dawn. Faint rays of light shined down, causing the entire mountain range to become hazy. Lin Dong stood in the air and reached out his hand as a suction force sucked Jinmu's Chinkuan bag into his hand. Lin Dong then turned his indifferent eyes to first look at the three fellows before slowly shifting towards Hai Shou. Lin Dong, what else do you plan on doing? Upon seeing Lin Dong look over, Hai Shou's scalp turned somewhat numb. His strength was on par with Jinmu, and since Lin Dong could kill Jinmu, he would likewise be able to kill Hai Shou. This matter caused regret to stealthily creep up in Hai Shou's heart. If he knew that Lin Dong was actually so ferocious, he would not have teamed up with Jinmu. However, it was already too late for regrets. No matter what, there were many people watching and he could only stand firm. Go down and accompany him. Lin Dong's voice was flat and emotionless. He was similarly rather disgusted with this high Shah, hence he did not plan to be merciful. His figure moved, appearing in the sky above high Shah as the bone spear thrust out. An extremely deadly force ripped through the air, viciously flying towards the latter's head. Lin Dong, don't go overboard. When he saw Lin Dong once again attack with killing intent, Hai Shah furiously roared before hastily defending. Bang bang. Golden light flashed. This time, Hai Shah finally understood why Jin Mu had lost so swiftly. Compared to a few days ago, Lin Dong's strength had risen once again. Golden light flowed in Lin Dong's eyes, while flashes of gold flickered below Lin Dong's skin. His figure moved as increasingly formidable attacks once again enveloped the Hai Shah, who was starting to be overwhelmed. Under Lin Dong's attacks, Hai Shah was very quickly on the losing end. However, just as Lin Dong's lightning-quick spear was about to deal a fatal blow, an enormous force suddenly swept over from afar, and forcibly pushed Lin Dong back several steps, with a loud bang. This sudden force caused Lin Dong's expression to darken a little. Soon after, he lifted his head, only to find a figure floating over with the wind like a willow from a distance away, while a soft voice slowly echoed out in the area. My friend, to cut others some slack is to give yourself the leeway in time of need. I hope that you will let this matter go on account of my Lingyun Empire. Lingyun Empire. When that calm voice spread across the entire area, several people's expressions gently changed. Promptly, they turned towards the figure who had appeared beside Hai Shah, their eyes full of fear. That man was dressed in white and looked fairly handsome. There were cloud-like patterns sewn on his clothes, while a gentle and casual smile hung on his face. In terms of mannerism and appearance, he was not bad at all. Of course, what caused everyone to be fearful of him were not these, but rather, the streams of powerful vibrations emitted by him the instant he appeared. Compared to a half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner like Hai Shah, the vibrations he gave off were much stronger. Lin Dong's pupils shrunk a little when this person appeared. He could also sense just how powerful the white-clothed man was. Lin Dong, that man is Ling Ji from the Lingyun Empire. It is reputed that once he accumulates sufficient Nirvana pills, he can officially attack the Nirvana stage. Furthermore, the Lingyun Empire is able to rival certain high-rank empires, and we cannot afford to offend them. Mo Ti's face turned solemn due to that man's appearance. Immediately, he approached Lin Dong and softly said. Lin Dong remained expressionless. He also knew just how powerful the Lingyun Empire was. However, that was not enough to make him feel a sense of respect like the rest. Though Ling Ji was quite powerful, he was not a genuine Nirvana stage practitioner. Even if they really fought, Lin Dong had no reason to fear him. Brother Ling Ji. When Hai Shah saw Ling Ji appear, delight surfaced on his face. Before he could say anything, Ling Ji casually waved his hand. He somewhat peculiarly stared at Lin Dong, before he gently smiled and said, My friend, for the event that transpired tonight, it seems like Hai Shah may have been in the wrong. However, Jin Mu is the real mastermind. Now that you have killed him, you should have relieved your anger as well. How about we let go of this matter? Ling Ji's voice was rather conciliatory. Previously, he had witnessed how powerful Lin Dong was. Based on his current strength, in addition to the might of his Lingyun Empire, Lin Dong was of little threat towards him. However, he did not want to make an additional enemy for no reason, especially at this juncture. Therefore, if it were not for the fact that he and Hai Shah went way back, he would not have stepped in. When the surrounding crowd heard Ling Ji's words, they were fairly stunned. They naturally knew of the Lingyun Empire's reputation. However, they never expected the latter to adopt such a conciliatory tone. Hai Shah's expression also fluctuated a little when he heard Ling Ji's words. At first, he thought that Ling Ji would avenge him. However, when he heard these words, he knew that Ling Ji did not plan to offend Lin Dong. This fact caused him to feel somewhat disappointed. However, he naturally did not dare to reveal his true emotions. After he spoke, Ling Ji turned around and cupped his fists towards Lin Dong. Even though Lin Dong's words caused an itch in his heart, he chose to turn around and leave. After all, the Lingyun Empire was one of the top powers in Yang City, and usually, whatever he said and regardless of which empire, he would hardly encountered an attitude like Lin Dong. However, though he felt somewhat displeased, based on Ling Ji's intelligence, he naturally would not reveal it. Phut, what an arrogant kid. Why is Big Senior so courteous towards him? Yes. After our Lingyun Empire showed up, not only did he fail to apologize, he even dared to utter such words. After he turned around and walked off, some other elite Lingyun Empire members involuntarily grumbled. They were the elites in Yang City, and everyone had to respect them. However, Lin Dong's attitude tonight caused them to feel slightly outraged. Lin Dong is merely at the advanced manifestation stage, yet he is able to slaughter a half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner. Can you do that? Ling Ji slowed down when he heard his subordinate's words, his eyes narrowing as he casually asked. When they heard his words, his subordinates were immediately at a loss for words. He is able to survive even after being hunted down by 5 half-step to Nirvana stage demonic beasts in the middle of the demonic horde. Can you accomplish that? The crowd was once again stunned. At the same time, the arrogance on their faces diminished. That was because they knew that none of them could do what Lin Dong had done. However, that does not mean that kid can act so arrogantly in front of Big Senior. After a moment of silence, someone finally said. The reason why he acted in this fashion was because he had the qualifications to do so. There are 2 possible explanations behind why he did not treat me respectfully. The first is that he is a fool. Or, he possesses a trump card that allows him to not fear my Lingyun Empire. Ling Ji's hands were behind his back as he slowly explained. The crowds were stunned again. The first explanation was naturally a joke and they instantly ruled it out. After all, they could not even accomplish what Lin Dong had done. If he was a fool, then what were they? In that case, there could only be one explanation. When their thoughts reached this point, shock and suspicion flashed across their eyes. It was very difficult for them to imagine that a kid from a low-rank empire, that they looked down on, would actually possess a trump card that allowed him to have no fear of their Lingyun Empire. After glancing at Ling Ji and the rest's departing figures, Lin Dong retracted his gaze. When he saw the bewildered stares from the crowd, he knew that in the following days, no one would dare to offend him. Ha ha, this friend is truly impressive tonight. My name is Liu Yuan, and I come from the Great Yuan Empire. Liu Yuan's eyes swept across Lin Dong's body, before he cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. Lin Dong. Lin Dong smiled. He knew that the Ling Yuan Empire and Great Yuan Empire were the top 2 factions in Yang City. In the past, he did not have the qualifications to befriend them. However, after tonight's events, they were now forced to treat him seriously. Based on Liu Yuan's smile, Lin Dong could sense that he wanted to befriend him. After all, no matter where you were, strength was the most important thing. In the following time, Liu Yuan conversed with Lin Dong for a short while, before he smiled and left. He, brother Lin Dong, you have a strong reputation now. Even the Lingyun Empire and Great Yuan Empire are impressed by you. When he saw Liu Yuan leave, Mo Ti smiled from the side as he enviously remarked. Lin Dong smiled, not too delighted by this fact. Though these 2 empires may seem invincible in Mo Ti's eyes, in his opinion, they were only all right. Therefore, he was not too surprised by Ling Ji and Liu Yuan's respectful attitude. Let's reorganize ourselves. Once daybreak arrives, we will have to continue our journey. After tonight's events, Lin Dong's words had unknowingly gained weight in their group. Therefore, when they heard his words, Mo Ti, Tang Xian and the rest smiled before they nodding their heads. Faintly, it seemed as if the nucleus of the group had shifted from Mo Ti to Lin Dong. The muscular-looking yet intuitive Mo Ti noticed this subtle change as well. However, he did not object to it. The charisma and strength that Lin Dong was enough for him to recognize that the latter deserved this position. After a bloody night, sunlight finally broke through the darkness, signaling the end of the night. As they stared at the debris and corpses littered around and smelled the bloody stench in the air, several people felt like they had survived a disaster. However, this feeling was quickly washed away by a hopeful feeling, because everyone knew that today was the day they would reach the treasure-abundant Thunder Granite Valley. Therefore, as long as they could obtain a treasure from there, the risk this time would have paid off. Warm sunlight poured down from the horizon before it illuminated the massive mountain range. Under the sunlight, various chaotic noises faintly sounded out. On closer inspection, one could see a large group of men and horses swiftly traveling across the mountain range and heading towards the deepest regions. Those people were naturally the men from Yang City. After the raid by the demonic horde last night, their numbers had evidently fallen. Meanwhile, the remaining members were fairly skilled. Therefore, they gave off a fairly formidable aura. Lin Dong's group was naturally among them. They did not choose to travel at the front, and instead they chose the safer option, and decided to stick around in the middle and follow behind that large group. As that large group slowly traveled, even though they had already survived an attack by the demonic horde last night, as they traveled deeper into the Thunder Granite Mountain range, the demonic beasts that appeared grew increasingly powerful. Therefore, this was no carefree journey for them, as the demonic beasts that constantly leapt out caused several problems for them. Lin Dong sat on Little Flame's back, while Mo Ti and the rest surrounded him just like fanboys. Meanwhile, there was no longer any signs of disdain in the elite Steel Empire practitioners' eyes. Instead, it was replaced by thick awe and respect. Lin Dong's actions last night have thoroughly impressed them. Brother Lin Dong, at our current rate, we should arrive at Thunder Granite Valley around afternoon. Mo Ti laughed heartily as he said. His face was filled with smiles. Along the way, several envious stares were constantly cast towards them. It seems like they were envious that he managed to find such a powerful ally. When he saw their envious stares, Mo Ti evidently felt extremely pleased. This was because most of them came from other small empires that he had a grudge with. Lin Dong nodded his head. However, his eyes did not focus in front of him, instead he constantly turned to look behind him. After he accidentally discovered that mysterious faction last night, he knew that this trip to the Thunder Granite Valley would not be a peaceful one. Even though there were several men from Yang City, they were widely dispersed and they fought for their own sake. Therefore, they hardly amount to anything. Of course, Lin Dong was not the only one who was aware of this situation. Though many people understood it as well, it was a difficult matter to resolve. In Yang City, there were various factions. Even though they were no genuine high-grade empires, there were several mid-grade empires. All of them were geniuses in their respective empires, and it was impossible to make everyone submit with a wave of one's hand. In fact, even Lingyun Empire and Great Yuan Empire could not accomplish such a feat. If they met a genuine high-grade empire, this dispersed group would probably crumble immediately. In fact, if a Nirvana stage practitioner appeared, it would probably cause several empires to crumble immediately. Therefore, with so many powerful factions around, it would be quite difficult for Lin Dong to obtain the mysterious ancient key and heavenly symbol spirit tree. It is not going to be easy to obtain those treasures, Lin Dong gently sighed as he muttered to himself. Just as the men from Yang City quickly headed towards the Thunder Granite Valley, behind him, another large group of men stealthily flashed by. Compared to the chaotic Yang City members, they possessed strong discipline and teamwork, just as if they had been through intensive training. They were undoubtedly in a different class. In the middle of that group, stood a man in black clothes, with his hands behind his back. His black hair swayed in the wind and he looked pretty suave. His footsteps flashed across mid-air without anything beneath supporting him, and it looked like he could sail across the sky. Compared to the rest who needed high trees as support, he looked much more suave. Right now, if Lin Dong was around, he would realize that man in black robes was the Nirvana stage practitioner that he had discovered last night. Evidently, they were headed for the Thunder Granite Valley as well. Big Senior, we have discovered the Xianbing Empire's tracks. Within that group, a figure suddenly appeared beside that man dressed in black robes, before he reported respectfully. Have they finally arrived? When he heard those words, that man in black robes gently furrowed his brows. Promptly, he smiled casually before he said, "Those fellows have it in for us. Every empire is now searching for all sorts of treasures in the ancient battlefield. During this time, those fellows have been constantly tailing us. Previously, when we discovered a treasure trove, we were forced to surrender a share to them. Truly outrageous." Besides that man in black robes, another man said, "Big Senior, should we disrupt them?" "There is no need. There is going to be a pretty large fight in Thunder Granite Valley. Though the men from Yang City are dispersed, they are still pretty good fighters. Furthermore, Lingyun Empire and Great Yuan Empire have powerful fighters amongst them. Therefore, we may not be powerful enough to repel them. At that time, we may even have to force an alliance with Xianbing Empire in order to chase away those Yang City men, before we can hunt for treasures." That man in black robes casually said. "Amongst those men from Yang City, the only ones we need to be wary of are Ling Ji from Lingyun Empire, and Liu Yuan from Great Yuan Empire. The rest of them are not worth mentioning. It's best to be prudent. Who knows if there are any powerful practitioners hidden within. Leave now. Let's travel using another direction, and reach the Thunder Granite Valley before them." After that man in black robes spoke, he did not speak any further. As he waved his arm, he suddenly upped his speed. Surrounding him, all the other men quickly followed behind. Moments after that large group of men left, a large tree gently vibrated before a graceful figure appeared. Her beautiful eyes glanced lazily in front of her, before she pursed her red lips and smiled gently. Really interesting. I never expected a mysterious ancient key to appear in this area. As that large group of men continued to travel, the Thundergranite mountain range was seemingly turned inside out as several demonic beasts were forced to come out. This led to much problems for the men from Yang City. Thankfully, with the passage of time, they went deeper into Thundergranite mountain range. Especially when the blazing sun was right above them, those densely packed men finally took a break. Then, streams of burning and greedy eyes stared right at that mountain col in front of them. Behind that mountain col was several treacherous mountain peaks. Those mountain peaks extended to the heavens and penetrated the sky. However, in the intersection point between these mountain peaks, there was an extremely large crack. Faintly, a thick mist emerged from within. Amidst that mist, a faint thunder roar emerged, and it was an extremely peculiar sight. That was a mountain valley formed by that crack, and it was Lindong and the rest's destination, the Thundergranite Valley that held the mysterious ancient key. When that mountain valley finally appeared in front of their eyes, everyone who had worked intensively in order to reach this spot instantly cheered. All of them seemed really excited. Lindong sat on his tiger's back, and there were hardly any traces of emotions on his face. That was because he knew that arriving at the Thundergranite Valley only signaled the beginning of the fight for the mysterious ancient key. In fact, what happens next was the most important. His eyes slowly swept across the treacherous mountain peaks surrounding him. Moments later, his pupils gently shrunk. Faintly, he could sense a few auras around him. Let's go to the back. Lindong titled his head before he softly spoke to an excited Mo Tii and the rest. When they heard his words, Mo Tii and the rest were evidently stunned. Then, they turned to glance at one another. However, out of respect of Lindong's strength, they finally nodded their heads in agreement. Rumble. Tumble. Tumble. The ecstatic Yang City members flooded into the mountain col before they dashed enthusiastically towards the Thundergranite Valley. In their opinion, as long as they could head inside, they would be entitled to a share of the spoils. At that time, they would be rewarded for all their hard work and effort. The ones in front of that large group were the Lingyuan Empire and Great Yuan Empire. With regards to their spot, no one dared to object. After all, they were the most powerful ones. Lindong and the rest were at the back. As they approached the Thundergranite Valley, Lindong increasingly furrowed his brows. It seems like those auras were getting increasingly obvious. Let's head inside. The men in front were already several hundred feet away from Thundergranite Valley. At the same time, while Lingji and Liu Yuan's face was filled with excitement, standing at the back, Lindong's pupils violently shrunk. At this instant, the air in the sky suddenly erupted violently. Then, 100 feet long formidable and icy-cold glint flashed by, before it flew with a terrifying speed and viciously slammed on the ground several meters in front of the men from Yang City. Immediately, the earth trembled, before a several hundred meters large ditch was forcefully ripped apart. This sudden commotion caused the men from Yang City to riot. Standing right in front, Ling Ji and Liu Yuan stared at this large ditch, before their pupils shrunk. Promptly, their faces darkened. I do not know which powerful man is blocking the way. Please show yourself. Ling Ji lifted his head before he shouted out. Go back to where you came from. This is not a place you should be at. After Lin Ji shouted out, another voice slowly ricocheted across the sky. Meanwhile, after that voice landed, the temperature in the entire domain began to drop stealthily. Then, the crowd saw a figure hovered sailing along a gentle breeze, before he appeared in front of everyone's eyes. That figure was swaying along the wind, and he did not choose to activate his powers. However, a heart-palpitating vibration still stealthily emerged from his body. Nirvana stage. When they sensed that powerful vibration, Ling Ji and Liu Yuan's expression instantly darkened. Part 1 end here.